All right.
Here we are.
Welcome back, everybody.
Welcome to the last podcast before Tyler takes off forever. He's leaving forevers.
Leaving country.
He's leaving the country. He's not
I'm
coming back.
Fleeing.
Unless
I'm
if
sick of the smell here.
if we get 1 million subscribers in the next week, he'll stay.
I'll think about it.
Hey, you're fucking staying.
Think about it.
It's Friday the 3rd, March the 3rd. It's still winter here. We're getting a little snow outside, so
It's though melting pretty quickly.
yeah. So yeah, we got a lot to talk about this week. Well, I guess I shouldn't say it because if I always say that, then it's always the same.
Yeah, but we do have a lot to talk about.
We always have a lot to talk about.
There's a fair bit of stuff to speak about. So I guess without further ado, we'll just hop into the first thing here.
Before you get right into it, let's just say, like and subscribe our videos. Like our videos and subscribe to our channel if you like our stuff. Help us out a little on that and support our podcast that way, and we can continue to give you information in the long run.
In the long haul.
Yeah. All
right. So this first segment we've got going on here has to do with this whole shenanigan around, I don't even know what to call it, right? So now the Department of Energy came out. They said with low confidence that COVID may have leaked from a lab. Now that's a big deal considering that like the narrative before this has been like, no way, like anyone suggesting that it's a crazy conspiracy theorist. Now they're saying, well, maybe. Then the FBI came out and said it came from the lab.
It's most likely.
That's what they think happened.
It would be different if they said initially they said, well, we really don't know. So we're exploring all options to see, you know, but they were so adamant against it. And
so adamant.
That's what the whole irritating part of it is. If you just say, look, we don't know yet, in absence of knowledge, we're not going to say necessarily where this came from. But they sold a narrative, and now they have to walk it back and say, well, okay.
This is what I want to play. This just maybe a minute and a half to 2 minutes of Jimmy Kimmel talking on this because I think there's a lot to say about this. So I'm just going to play this.
We'll just post the rest on our website because we got to keep this show moving. We can't stop and devote a whole show to diarrhea, right, Guillermo?
Right, Jimmy.
Thank you very much. Now, speaking of diarrhea, Tucker Carlson of Fox News yesterday. We learned that
Tucker, we love Tucker.
The Department of Energy, you probably know about this, believes with what they described as low confidence that COVID may have leaked from a lab in China. 8 federal agencies now have weighed in with their assessments. 4 believe COVID came from natural transmission. 2 say it was a lab leak, and 2 are still undecided. In other words, we don't know. But the dingbats now see this as some kind of proof that they...
The dingbats.
I know. I love
He's still saying so. You went from Jimmy Kimmel specifically, right? Jimmy Kimmel specifically went from this is crazy. Only crazy people think that this is nonsense. To well, maybe, but he's still going to call the people who were suggesting it dingbats.
So are you the dingbat now? Are you partially a dingbat, Jimmy? Now to say like, can you come back and say, listen, because I was so on the other side and I wasn't even open at all to the possibility that it came from a lab.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm a dingbat.
Yeah.
Get the
according to Kimmel law, he can never be the dingbat.
Well,
even though he's a dingbat.
This is a thing on ABC.
I don't know.
It's one of the major networks, so I'm sure they tell him what to say.
They were right, that the virus came from a Chinese leak at a laboratory, which, by the way, it might have. The point is, we didn't know then. We still don't know now. But what we did know is that Trump and his buddies blaming the Chinese resulted in a great deal of anti-Asian American sentiment and even violence in this country. And that's why it was irresponsible for the president to call it the China virus. But Tucker Carlson apparently disagrees.
This plague should never have happened. It could have been stopped. But people chose not to stop it.
What people? Tomorrow he'll blame the...
This is funny too, because that is true. We know, it's not. I guess to the fucking people like Jimmy Kimmel, their head up their ass, they might think this is a conspiracy theory, but we know that China knew about it for months before they said anything. They let it leave the country.
Mm-hmm.
They knew they could have tried to contain it at least.
Yeah,
but they didn't even try. So
what irritates me about it is everything he said there is like I agree with him. when he's saying about, we don't know this.
We don't know, and
I agree with
yeah,
all that, and I agree with the fact that that Trump should have been so much better about how he said different things. He was,
right, he should have called it the dirty China
yeah,
virus.
yeah. Maybe he should have added an adjective. No, but realistically, I believe that like I believe all that. But this is coming now from people you just think are full of shit. Now you're gonna walk it back and act like you've always
Act like
been on
you're the
this.
reasonable
Yeah,
person.
you've always been the reasonable
Yeah,
person in the room.
yeah.
Fuck out of here.
Spanish flu on Antonio Banderas.
Yeah. Imagine if you're a comedian and all of a sudden your cue card has all kinds of talking points from politicians and foreign governments on it. Don't read it. You degrade yourself and you become complicit in the greatest crime in history.
Isn't that beautiful? I mean, the idea that this man that I would be accused of reading talking points from foreign governments, if it weren't so brazen, it would almost be funny coming from this loathsome, un-American Moscow mule.
Wait a second. Why?
Yeah, that's about
Yeah, it's a good place
so he goes to insult, but un-American.
So because he's on a different side of the aisle, he's on the more conservative side of the aisle. He's an
Yeah, and
idiot,
you think I think there's a more reasonable case to say that the person pushing for everybody to take, an experimental, untested treatment for no good reason at all. I'd say that's un-American. That's pretty anti the American people, isn't it? Like that's very anti individuals. Instead of saying, "Oh, maybe you should do this thing," or "I think you should maybe do this thing," ridiculing the people that say, I don't know about this thing."
like I understand that Jimmy Kimmel's a talk show host,
Mhm.
and he's not a news guy, but they do frame the show where they talk about news, and then they make jokes about it and stuff, and so they do sway cultural perception of different things. So when they're saying something, um, when they're putting out information, it's it's perceived as truth, somewhat, at least from
Yeah,
their
some
audience,
people
right?
get their opinions from these sources.
So it'd be different if you said this
Absolutely.
is just an opinion. This is just an opinion piece, or this is just something I think, or that's fine. Like a lot of the stuff that we say on here, we will say that it's our opinion
Mhm,
on something.
mhm.
We'll present an argument or present some facts that are that maybe are irrefutable, and then we'll say our opinion on that. But in his case, it's nobody can have an opinion other than the narrative that's given to them. So that's where the talking points come from.
Yeah.
That's where Tucker's talking about that. If anybody, I'm sure people that are watching this watch Tucker or are pretty aware, at least because it'd be in the same sort of vein, but you'll know that Tucker just asks a lot of questions. He has a lot of opinions where he'll throw the opinion in there, or he'll make comments that are like sarcastic to say that something's stupid, but they're pretty evident. I think they're pretty
Mhm.
evident. But most of the time, it's like just saying we should question this or we should do this. Whereas the other side,
No
Jimmy
question
Kimmel,
whatsoever.
yeah,
It just is what it is.
it's right. And now he's trying to say that now
Yeah.
we're going to question it.
Yeah, no, like the
It's not where
reasonable
your
people,
first
like
thing.
Jimmy Kimmel's position in the past
Yeah.
was, anyone who came forward and was like, "Oh, you know what? There's a biolab, like basically right across the street from where this virus broke out that was working on, the SARS-CoV-2 viruses, coronaviruses, and so maybe it came from there."
Yeah.
Those people are crazy. It couldn't come from there. What are you, nuts? And then now that it's like now it's coming full circle. It's like, it might have actually came from there. He's got to like slightly walk it back while still maintaining his I don't know, vigor about it.
Or his what he
His
thinks his
hatred for the
credibility
people who
somehow.
he believes to be his enemy.
I don't know how these kind of people like him in particular can think that they have any credibility left. Like I think at this point you should just go back to comedy. Just drop the political views on anything and go to comedy. Just stay with comedy. He's a pretty funny guy. Like I like Jimmy Kimmel in the past. I think he's funny. I I don't think it's funny anytime somebody's trying to uh, persuade someone to believe any one thing. You just say what's funny. You make fun of things. You make fun of all things. That's why I like things like South Park.
Yeah.
South Park stays right in the middle and makes fun of literally everything. They make fun of conservatives, they make fun of liberals, they make fun of everybody and everything. It's usually topical related, whatever's popular at the time, and they do it pretty well. I mean, sometimes they miss, but you know,
Whatever. You
yeah,
can't hit it
and
all.
that's like comedians. They're gonna miss sometimes. Jokes aren't funny. How many times you said something and you're like,
Yeah.
"Oops, that I stumbled on that one."
Yeah, I would say that like at this point, he's bought and paid for.
Well,
Right? He's got
yeah,
his salary. That's what does Jimmy Kimmel make? 10 fucking $15 million a year?
probably more than that even.
Let's see. It probably comes up
I
right
would think it's
away.
probably per episode. I would say he's probably somewhere around the
Like a million.
six,
So
six to 750,000 per episode. I would think probably something like that.
yeah, but then they'll have a contract.
Yeah,
$24 million a
see what I
year.
mean? Yeah. So,
$24
but
million.
yeah, so
So
it's probably less because
gets
really,
that contract.
how many shows does he do a year?
I don't know. Do they do it every day?
I don't know.
Or is
Don't
it every
watch.
week?
No, it's got to be. It's
Whatever.
like a Tonight Show type
Whatever.
thing. Anyways, yeah,
I do that show 8 times a day for
yeah,
$24 million a year.
yeah,
I
yeah,
do it for a year and then fuck off.
yeah.
But he's bought and paid for. But
Mhm.
like if he wants to keep that contract, he has to keep an in with the establishment.
Right,
He needs to
right.
say what they want to say, and he can't go against what their narratives are.
Unfortunately, I think that's everybody on every side, though. I think like that would be kind of Tucker as well. I think Fox probably gives Tucker a little more leeway, because he's got such a big
Which is
show.
Tucker Carlson.
Yeah, but I think back in the day, he probably did that. I haven't. I gotta be honest. I didn't really watch Tucker prior to.
It might have been less serious
2020,
though
really.
too. That's the other thing, right?
Yeah.
Like we don't know. They might have not pushed so hard for certain narratives in the past, they did, but you didn't really see it as much, and it was
Yeah.
easier. But
I think it's more that you didn't like. Now news is so in your face. It's in your phone. It's
right,
everywhere, right?
this is the
So
way it is. It's that way, and those people suggesting otherwise, they're crazy. They're the enemy. They're evil.
yeah,
Which that might come up later in this show.
yeah.
It's a little
Little teaser.
foreshadowing there. Yeah.
A little teaser for the future. Yeah. Again, I'm not a. I've never said I'm a complete Tucker fan. I think sometimes he says stuff that's a little bit off, but
Relax. You have a Tucker Carlson poster in your bedroom.
no, that's just because I think he's good looking. There's nothing. Oh, that's storm.
Is there a thunderstorm out
There's
there?
a storm a coming.
There's a thunderstorm outside.
But
Is it actually that bad? Or
it
did somebody just crash a truck?
yeah, probably. Yeah, I'm craving. I think like a lot of people. Is there?
Winter storm.
I think a lot of people are craving just common sense and um, just true information,
I
like
don't even know if that's
true points of view.
Like the optimist in me thinks that people are craving common sense, but what I see is people just crave to be told what to do and what to think and what to say,
Yeah, but that's
and
because of,
defer all responsibility to everybody else about absolutely every aspect of their life. It's like that's what I see.
So you can be in a department store, right? And there could be 200 people in that department store,
Mhm.
and you don't hear from 194 of those 200, but there's 6 of those people that are loud and fucking obnoxious, and
They want everybody to line up a certain way.
yeah, and they're
take
like
this
complaining.
path
I need
through
to
the
see the
store.
manager, and I want to bring this back. Oh, this has got
Yeah.
to. So those 6 people are the loudest. So if
Yep.
somebody were looking at that, they go, "That department store is full of a bunch of
Yeah.
fucking
And I mean
crybaby
that
whiners."
could be it. That could be
I
it.
think that's what it is.
But I don't know if that really is the case, because what I'll say is, so later in the show, we plan on looking at a couple of, at least one, maybe two, little street interview videos of people in London.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of these videos out there, and a lot of these videos of just kind of normal people on podcasts or whatever. And it really does seem like there's a lot of these dumb,
Yeah,
very simple
but again,
people that feel that way.
but those people that are doing those interviews and stuff may have interviewed 100 people, and they got 3 that
It's
were
possible.
like that. And
It's
I think
possible.
I don't
And
think it's
it might be given a
I don't
false
think it's possible. I think it's
a false
plausible
sense.
that's the case,
But
because
it could also
that
be
gets a
it
lot
could be
more.
the area.
Yeah, but that gets a lot more views and a lot more clicks to that.
But
You're watching somebody.
it could also be the area. Like
Yeah.
the one that we're gonna react to is I believe in London, or it might be in a similar place, but like the densely populated areas
Sure.
might be exceptionally bad versus you go to a rural area, you might get a lot more reasonable opinions.
But also, you think about it too. If a, I'm going to say, I'm going to frame this correctly. Not necessarily normal people, but people that are busy, people that are, they're well to do. If somebody tries to stop them on the street to talk to them, they're probably going to be less likely to talk because if it's like, I got to be somewhere. Like
Yeah,
I can't give you 5 minutes.
yeah,
It's the people that are maybe, less affluent, less intelligent that don't have anything going on. They're like, oh yeah, okay, I'll talk to you. Your pod or you've got a show on YouTube. Sure, I'll stop for a minute and talk to you. And they've got some stupid things to say, and they have no problem with it. Let people hear it.
yeah.
So I think there's all those factors at play. Because I just tend to believe that the majority of people are centrist in some ways, left of center, right of center, but in that center grouping. And then you got the outliers.
Yeah.
But I just think those outliers are so loud, on both sides.
Pessimist in me says that like 60 to 70% of the population are just basically brain dead. They're just walking around and all of their opinions are prescribed to them.
That's
And
fairly
like I
pessimistic.
think that some of those people wind up on like the right wing because that's just the path of information that they've fallen into. Right? So they've been told to think this way, so they do. And I think that it goes both ways, certainly, but I just feel like I don't know. The way that it seems that so many people gravitate towards the popular opinion versus the reasonable opinion or the one that makes the most logical sense, it just screams to me that the minority of people are actually thinking about these things
Well, you got to
or
remember
want
too.
to think about these
You
things.
got to remember, like we're actually availing ourselves to this information because obviously we run a podcast that we talk about topical and political related stuff. A lot of people don't give a shit and they don't want to know because they know that this shit just goes on and on and on and on and nothing changes. The same problems you see now are the same problems you probably saw 10, 15, 20 years ago. Different with obviously with some nuance changes and stuff, but there's always going to be like doomsday predictions. There's always going to be, for example, the economy. The economy's cyclical, so it always crashes. There's always a recession coming at some point, whether it's mild or big, because it's on cycles. So I think a lot of people are smart enough to understand that, and they don't really want to be entwined in that. Whereas we do, obviously, we're into it and we have things to say about it.
Hmm.
But so I just that's because the reason why I think that is because I think I might have been that person before. Years back, I think I was that guy that just had his head in the sand. And I was like, I don't, unless it's directly affecting me, I don't think I want to know
Right.
because it's depressing.
Right.
There's a depressing end of it.
Yeah, and there's a lot of things that don't directly affect you today that do in 3 years,
Right.
4 years, right?
Yeah.
Maybe you're well off, so, printing trillions of dollars
Doesn't bother
to
you.
stop the economy doesn't bother you because you're like, "Oh, I could afford on my own means to stay home for a year
Yeah.
and, not really do anything, and the government's gonna give me money also? Awesome, this is great." And then your savings are worth, what are we at now? Probably at this point 20 to 25% less than they were prior with the rate of inflation, right? Inflation hit like almost 10%. It's been like a year or so, or 2 years. Hits you
Yeah.
later.
Yeah.
Everything at the grocery store is like twice what it used
It's
to be.
crazy. Like when you're aware of that, like that's where you'll start to see people really kind of get involved a little more and get a little
When you
bit
start
more
to see
awakened.
people are noticing their grocery bill is double what it used to be. Their
It's
gas is
funny.
double what it used to
It's
be.
the smallest of the things. It's not like, so if you're going to go buy a car, because you buy a car so infrequently, let's say like roughly every 10 years, you buy a new
Yeah,
car
you don't
and
notice
you're
it,
like, you don't notice
but
it.
you buy eggs every
You
week.
buy eggs every week. Exactly.
Yeah.
So you're like, oh my God. Like, for example, I'm buying protein bars the other day. These protein bars I like, they used to be $2.39 a box for 4. Now it's $4.49 or something like that. This is literally 2
Still
years
for
later.
how many grams of protein in those?
I don't know, 13 maybe or something.
Oh, okay, that's not bad.
But anyways,
The ones I get are way more expensive, but it's 20,
Yeah,
20 grams per bar.
these are just like President's Choice or some bullshit. I just like
But
the
mine
taste.
went up. Mine used to be so I shop at Metro. They were like $12 or something for the longest time. They'd be on sale sometimes for 10, and I noticed at Walmart they were like 10. But now they're like 13.50. And it's like just a huge spike, like a 10% spike just like that. I'm like, "Oh, what?"
Yeah.
Like, fuck.
But that's where I think you're going to get people kind of picking their head out of the sand,
Yeah.
going, "Hey, fuck, man! I'm noticing everything is
I
expensive."
have a hard time spending less than $100 at the grocery store every week now.
Jeez.
It's difficult.
Yeah, I just spent $190.
I remember it used to be like $60
Yeah.
and it'd be a hefty amount. Now it's like I'm not even buying all that much.
Right.
You know, and like there are things like just last week, there are things that I was able to not buy because I already had them from the previous week. It was still $95 total.
Well, like,
And I
okay,
thought for sure it'd be less, but
today
yeah.
we buy some of these today. I noticed they're
Yeah.
up 20 cents a can. $3 normally. That's $3.20
Yeah.
a can. So it's like these. It's small. It's like 20 cents a can. So what? But it's these small things you notice more than the big things because you're more often buying those things.
Yeah, Art's saying here, I've noticed reduced item racks in grocery stores that I have never seen before. Metro never had a reduced section where I typically shop. I think that's when people really start to. What do you mean by reduced?
So they're reducing like the size of the areas where they or how much is in those things, and then they also have reduced racks where they're reducing the price of stuff too. You see that a lot too.
What do you mean? What do you mean by like?
Reduced item rack? Yeah. So it's like, so for example,
Like, is it this like what's in the package is reduced? There's less, or it's just like a
well,
like a
it's kind of both,
clearance?
but a clearance type thing.
Okay.
Like there's a lot more of that going on too. But I think part of that is because what we're talking about, like the price of things. People are like, I'm not buying that anymore. So it might have been a big seller for them at one point.
Yeah.
They sold a ton of this stuff, and then
So
they're
they
like,
have it now. People aren't buying.
Yeah.
People are now thinking about, okay, what do I need
Yeah.
versus what do I want?
yeah. So it's definitely the small stuff that makes people notice, which is funny. You'd think it'd be the big stuff, but again, if you don't buy a car, you only buy a car once
Okay,
every
yeah,
10
you're saying
years.
reduced price produce.
Yeah.
Day old bakery,
Exactly.
for example.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
That's what I meant. Yeah. So it's but it's crazy because it's if people, like, when they were trying to trick people into believing inflation was transitory, right? They were like, "Oh, just transitory inflation." People bought it for a little while because it made sense. I mean, there was
And they wanted it to be true.
right, that too. But I mean, it did make sense because you said, "Okay, we had
Here's the thing:
COVID,
you say
and then-
people bought. I never bought it for a second.
Well, I mean, I didn't necessarily buy it because obviously we're like entrenched
'Cause,
in
yeah,
this stuff.
like
But-
just so you understand
Yeah.
why I never bought it. It's because I'm looking at everything and I'm like, okay, you're saying inflation is transitory, but you aren't really doing anything to stop it. Like, you're not taking correct actions to fix it.
Right.
And so I was always like, this doesn't make any sense. When they say this doesn't make sense, like, they got to be full of shit.
But what gave it some sense, what made sense about it was that you just had this virus that,
Yeah, you'd hope
shut
that
stuff
things
down.
could bounce
And then
back
once
or
it bounced
something.
back, you were like,
Yeah, I know, right? At this point, it's a massive joke.
Yeah. It's just like the circle back or all these different things, right?
Yeah, we're gonna circle back on that old inflation.
yeah. Sorry,
It'll be transitory next year.
Yeah, we meant transitory by like 10 years.
By transitory, we meant in 5 years, your dollars are gonna be worth like 10.
Yeah. But I've said this before about like gas prices, right?
10 cents. I
You
mean,
look at gas prices. This has been happening for years because I used to work gas stations when I was a kid, and oddly enough, so did Art. I remember when they were around 40 to 50 cents, somewhere in there, like gas prices per liter. And this is in Canada, so people know. And they didn't really go up very much. I remember like there was about like 10 years where we would go up to maybe like 60 sort of cents. We're lagging?
because the problem with adjustments to inflation is that it is a lagging
Oh,
indicator.
I just saw
and
lagging. I was
yeah,
like,
yeah.
are we lagging?
No, yeah. Right though.
Yeah. But anyway, but now they've gone, somebody comes up with these different ideas, and they really are gross because somebody comes up, like, for example, like subscription models now. So there was, back in the day, you used to be able to buy programs and you owned the program and you could do whatever. But now it's subscription based. You're paying per month.
I'm pro subscription models.
See, I am with certain things.
It
Other
makes
things
it more
I'm not.
affordable. Like it might not be more affordable if you buy a subscription and then like you're just paying it month to month forever.
Right.
But if it's a program you need sometimes,
Well,
you
okay.
can pay for it.
If it's a
Say
program,
it's $20 a month. You use it for
Yeah.
3 months. You spend $60. You leave it, cancel your subscription until you need it again. So it'd be cheaper than paying $800 for that whole
well,
program,
maybe
right?
if it's a program that's constantly
And
upgrading,
plus,
that'd be
they
different.
all are. Everything now is
Well,
constantly.
some aren't. It
What
kind of
is that's a
depends.
subscription that isn't being constantly updated?
Well, I would say like Word and Excel and stuff. Those kind of programs. They don't. When have they made significant changes on those
Well,
programs?
I don't know that they're necessarily making
Yeah.
significant changes, but they're making
Anyways,
changes, and that's partly because they, for the most part, do everything that
I'm not gonna
they
die on that
need
hill
to
anyway.
do.
I'm not really gonna die on
Um,
that hill. That was just a point of somebody changing that. That's inherent to me. But what I mean is like my point was like with gas. You look at gas prices when they raise gas prices. So they do this thing where they do this artificial raise. So they go, oh, there's a shortfall in oil, and so now gas prices are going up, and they do all these different things. So let's say they take it from 60 cents to $1. They go, okay, well, we have this artificial thing that caused that to happen.
yeah,
What ends up happening is people get kind of used to the buck. So then what happens after, they'll go, oh, we'll drop it down to 85 cents. People will be happy to pay 85 cents now because they're used to the buck. They're getting it cheap now, but we jumped at 25 cents over the course of 6 months or a year.
yeah,
And they've been doing this now to us like fucking lemmings for years
yeah,
now.
yeah.
And they've done it to us again.
They keep
Now
doing it.
gas prices are
It
$1.40.
was almost
and
$2, now it's
nobody's
down to
balking it.
yeah.
And they really aren't going to ever go down below $1.30 now.
No.
So they just keep doing this to us, and we keep falling for this
Yeah,
fucking shit.
Art just said the exact thing that I said. Is what he does it with his own with the NFL, because we know Art's he's financially struggling.
He's very very hurt.
He says he does that with the NFL. He doesn't have cable, and he subscribes to DAZN from September to February, and then dump it and restart after. And realistically, how much money are you saving doing that? Because I would be surprised if it was less than like fucking $200 a year.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like, because cable, you're paying for way more than what you're using anyway.
That's
So you
for
buy
sure.
the thing that you want, you watch it while you want it. So in this case, football. You watch the football season while it's happening, and then you fucking leave it.
Yeah.
You don't pay for the description the rest of the time, and maybe you pay for something else that you want to watch
Yeah,
at
but
that
that
time,
makes
right?
a lot of sense with something like that. But I'm
Yeah.
saying like a program, for example, a program that you use all the time, like an Excel or something like that. Now I've got to pay monthly for that. There's very specific to us. QuickBooks is one. QuickBooks
Yeah.
is hundreds of dollars a month.
Yeah.
We're talking about a couple $1,000s a year for
Yeah.
that kind of software. You used to be able to buy that program for about $500. You go and buy it one time, bang, and then if you need a new one, you buy it a year or two later, and you. So what they've done there is they've said,
Problem
okay,
is though, right? It's worth it, right? If you have a
oh, sure.
company that is making money, you got employees, you got like all this stuff going around. Fuck,
But they used
do
to
you
make
save
money
time?
before.
Now they make more
Now
money.
they make way more
right?
money.
From
Right.
a business perspective.
It's just like,
but they make more because it is worth it.
like a candy
People will
bar.
pay for it.
Buy a
Yeah.
candy bar back in the 90s and see how fucking big that thing was. You know, it's not like
I
they're
know.
concerned about diabetes or people getting fat or that shit. They don't give a fuck about that. They care about the bottom line. So you buy that candy bar, it's now this big, where it used to be that
Keeps getting
fucking big.
smaller and smaller.
Keeps getting smaller, but the price keeps going up. How the fuck does the price keep going up if you keep making it
Now you
smaller?
got to buy like 3 or 4 bags of chips just to like eat the same amount of chips you used to eat.
Yeah,
when you were,
I don't feel as fat anymore.
When you were 13, fucking. I'm 25 years old. When I was like 13 years old, fucking playing PlayStation, eating a bag of Doritos. If I want that same experience today, I got to buy like 2 or 3 bags.
And yes, Art, you need QuickBooks for Business. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Simple's,
Is that the investing one?
Yeah.
Yeah. Taxman 2022. Oh wait, no. TurboTax is free until you're 25.
And until TurboTax when you file your return, that's when you pay for it. So that's what they get you on a lot of these.
Yeah,
programs.
but it is free if you're under 25 or a student.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
That's cool. That's a pretty cool thing they're doing there. But most of these programs,
Also,
what they
too,
do is they're teasers.
You get like extra people. Like I don't know what was happening last year, because like it was free for me last year. I was of age, but my mom was saying something about, like you could have used it like with our plan, because they got like a plan for a few people, right?
Yeah,
and so
you
like
get a number of returns per plan when you
Yeah.
buy it. Yeah.
So I don't know.
So if they're in the if they're in the same household and stuff, you can do that. But laughing about the chips.
You better have chips in your hand right now.
Yeah, exactly.
Chips and a beer.
Yeah. Oh man, I feel like I ranted about that forever.
Yeah, that's a bit of a long way. We're about halfway through the show.
I had a lot to say.
Yeah, let's move on to this next thing.
All right.
Real quick. We'll move right.
It's related anyway, so.
Yeah, so I feel like everybody and their mother has heard about this Woody Harrelson controversy with his SNL monologue.
Yeah.
And then Elon Musk went ahead and called it a good one. and then people are freaking out about
Yeah, let me read it. I'll just read the transcript of what he said, and then you
right.
can, out of
But viewer
context.
discretion is advised.
Yeah,
This is triggering, and Alex is not, in fact, a comedian, so it would be more funny if Woody Harrelson
it's
did
very unfunny when I say it.
it.
So here we go. So this is what he says to the crowd in his little monologue. He says the biggest drug cartels in the world. He does okay. So to preface this, he's talking about a movie role. So he said this is the movie role of the script that he read. He said the biggest drug cartels in the world get together and buy up all the media and all the politicians and force all the people in the world to stay locked in their homes, and people can only come out if they take the cartel's drugs and keep taking them over and over. He goes, so I read that and I threw the script away. He goes, because I mean, who's going to believe that crazy idea? Being forced to do drugs? I do that voluntarily all day long. So the last part I think was almost like a walkout, saying that it was almost like I made this point that's strong. So now I'm going to try and add a little joke to take the tension away from that strong point. And when you watch that monologue, you'll see that when he reads that first part, it's like the laughs are weird, but then when he reads the last part, there's a bigger laugh.
Oh, this is actually interesting. Saturday Night Live actually tweeted it out.
So they tweeted his
Well,
monologue,
obviously
yeah.
they tweet their own stuff
Yeah,
out,
yeah,
obviously. But I would have almost thought that maybe they would have like shied away from it in
I don't
this
think so.
particular case.
The
Well,
thing
SNL's been very fucking
they've been
woke
weird.
lefty.
No, but they've been weird lately.
They've been coming
They've
back.
had Chappelle
Yeah.
on twice, and it's not like he was saying stuff that was like right in the woke. Like Chappelle's always left of center, but
Yeah, but weren't there like writers that were boycotting it because Chappelle was on, right? So
probably
it's
I don't know necessarily, but probably. But I got to give SNL credit, or at least what's his face? It's the dude. I can't remember his name.
I don't know the dude, man.
The dude, the guy that is in charge of it. Whatever. Anyways, that guy that's been running it for 40 something years. I think he's smart enough to know that like they went a little too far to the left, and I think they try and stay with the
Yeah.
cultural shifts. That show tries to stay, they used to anyway, and they've been way more on the other side, and they've been less funny. So I think they're trying to
Right.
get
'Cause
those.
they fell off. They completely
Yeah.
fell off since what they were.
They're trying
But
to get the middle ground back.
listen to this response to this. It's such an incredibly selfish and privileged position. The anti-vax, anti-lockdown, COVID conspiracy one, Woody Harrelson, and those supporting such BS are only able to do so because they themselves are okay. Twitter users say. Nobody who suffered or lost loved ones to COVID talks like that. One, that's totally fucking not true at all. But like, this is the idea, because some people were at risk of COVID. That completely justifies that we shut down the economy, we lock everybody in their homes, and we force them to take an experimental treatment that doesn't do anything. Like maybe it does something, but it doesn't do anything like in the sense that they said it did. It doesn't protect you from spreading it or catching it.
Mm.
So like, why can't I have the freedom to not take the experimental drug? If I'm the only one that's at risk for doing so, for making that choice, right? It's not. It makes more sense if it's like, look, this stops you from catching it, and it will. So therefore, it will protect others. Okay, that's fine. That's not what this did. It's not what it does. Not what it claims to do. If anything, it makes it worse.
Well, obviously that's an opinion position on that, but I tend to agree.
No, it's fact.
Well, doesn't necessarily mean it.
No, my opinions are fact.
That's a joke. Anybody watching? That's a joke.
No, it's not a joke. It's fact.
Yeah. We had a comment on the last podcast where somebody was taking one of his father's jokes as literal. Yeah, you know what?
My words are gospel.
Yeah, pretty much. It's nice to see that we're starting to see the other angle of it, like where people are feeling more and more free. It's like that first person dancing, to get up on the dance floor. It always takes that first person to get everybody else comfortable to get up on the dance floor. It's like, but the first people walking through are taking all the shots, but eventually, so like a guy like Woody doing that, he's not the first through, but he's early. He's pretty damn early. So good for him. But
I think he's got more conservative leanings.
Well,
you
sure he
know?
does. Sure he does. But I mean, but a lot of guys that have, or gals, guys and gals that have
Yeah,
those
they
conservative leanings,
fake
they
it.
just say nothing.
What is he in? Why do I know this man? Like, I know he's super famous, and I've probably seen 100 movies with him in it, but for whatever reason, I can't think of what he's famous for
Yeah,
right
I
now.
don't know what you might have seen him in. He was in
Oh, he's in
True Detective.
Zombieland, wasn't he?
He was, yeah.
He was in
That's where you
Zombieland.
know him from.
Maybe, but what else?
Yeah.
What else would
True
you?
Detective is a really
I
good show.
haven't
He was
seen
in
that.
that.
No,
Yeah, that was really good. So he's been in a lot of stuff. He's actually
I know he
an
has.
actor.
I
Yeah,
very recognize him a lot. Like,
yeah,
I feel
yeah.
like I've seen several movies with him.
Yeah, most
But
likely. I mean, you just wouldn't have known necessarily it was him or whatever. But and he's taken like smaller roles in big movies too at times too. So, but he's like the Kevin Bacon of movies at this point. There used to be a joke about Kevin Bacon because he was in so many movies. So, anyways, yeah. So I think that's all we'll say about Woody
Lateral
and the
pal.
SNL.
What do
Yeah.
you? Okay, so all right. Here's a here's our next here's our next topic right here.
This one's
Drugs
gross.
in Oregon. So Oregon decriminalized drugs 2 years ago,
Yeah.
and I guess BC is doing it now.
Yeah.
That's what's happening.
Yeah. They just begun.
3-year pilot. So just now.
Yeah.
Okay.
They just started doing it. And this one strikes a pretty personal nerve with me because my brother, I don't know, I don't know if I've ever talked about this on the podcast, but my older brother died. Well, he killed himself a bunch of years back, but he had an opioid addiction for a while. He
Issue.
got on
Yeah.
OxyContin for a few years due to a back injury. So, and he was like
Prescribed it though, was he?
he was prescribed, yeah, and he was prescribed. Actually, oddly enough, I had two brothers that were on OxyContin. My other brother was my older half brother. Had a bad injury to his leg when he was a kid, and then they were stretching out his bone, so he was on OxyContin. And I mean, when I say on OxyContin, if you went to the doctor and you had a prescription filed for it, or filed it for it, or prescribed to you, you'd probably be prescribed 5 to 10 milligrams, like a normal prescription to things. My brother was taking somewhere in around, I think, 750 milligrams of it, and my older brother was taking over 1,000 milligrams. Like, put it this way: if you and I took it right now, we would die.
Yeah.
If you had 10 people in the room and you all took that, you'd pretty much die. Like, it's that kind. It would be such a shock to your system.
Huge amount. Yeah.
Right. So it takes a lot to wean on that. Obviously, it takes a lot to wean off. So what they're talking about here, and they've done it in Oregon, is they're actually they're decriminalizing it. So we're kind of for that. Like you and I have agreed.
Decriminalize all drugs, I believe,
Right.
at least possession. I think maybe public intoxication is illegal, or doing it in public is illegal, but just having it on you is not.
But the problem with these drugs versus, the other type street drugs in that is you're actually getting these prescribed by doctors. Like,
That's a
there's no doctor
huge problem.
prescribing meth to anybody
No.
for anything. So that's where this becomes a problem for me. Now you're decriminalizing these drugs. So all you're doing now is
Yeah. So what you want to point out is Oregon had more opioid
Right.
opioid overdose death.
That's tough to say.
I can't say it right. Opioid overdose deaths in 2021, the year decriminalization went into effect. Then 2 years prior, statistics for 2022 are still being compiled, but some critics are already calling for the measures to be scrapped and for the money to be invested elsewhere. What money is being invested in this?
So see this video right here? I watched the actual video. So this guy here,
deep?
here's a real quick synopsis of the video. There's a CBC reporter with the police officer, and they're going around and they're patrolling the areas, the city. And he gets a call. He had just finished giving a ticket to a guy. I think it's $100 ticket or $105 ticket or something like that. For which, when you get the ticket, if he opts to go to this treatment facility, then they can
waive it.
They can waive the ticket. And she asked him blatantly. She goes, "Are you going to do it?" And he goes, "Yeah, most likely." And then he's like, 50-50. Like,
I think ultimately that's a good way to handle it, but I think that there needs to be like, so okay, I pulled up
But anyways, let me just make this point real quick. And then, so right there, you see that guy. They get a call that this guy's overdosing. So they go and they get the narc on him, whatever, Narcolan or something like that, whatever they use for fentanyl overdoses. They hit him with that. And the cop admits, he goes, "Yeah, this is his second OD in like 2 days or something like that." He goes, "I know this guy very well." And so all that's happening now is we're now putting all these extra resources for the police to go and handle overdoses and throwing tickets at these people who are probably not ever going to pay the tickets because what do they give a shit?
Yeah,
They're going to take $105 out of their pocket to go pay a ticket rather than to get the next dose.
basically.
Get
Yeah.
the fuck out of here. They're going to obviously just get the next dose and maybe they do a day in jail or whatever the fuck they do to them when they get them for non-payment. Like it's a nonsensical approach because nobody's ever really going to enforce this. All you're doing is wasting paper on the tickets and wasting resources on the cops. So decriminalizing this, I think, is just it's gaming the problem. Like it's saying, okay, we have this opioid problem, but we're not gonna do anything about it. We're just gonna decriminalize it. So you're not holding big pharma to account. You're not holding anybody to account.
That's a whole other issue altogether there. But I brought up this other article because Portugal did this in 2001. They decriminalized all drugs,
Mhm.
and it worked out very well for them.
Right.
Can't really see it, but ultimately, crime rates, drug related crime, drug related issues, addiction, all of that seems to have gone down since they did this.
Right.
And so this is where this is the point that I wanted to bring up because of that. It's like I think that is a good way to go about it. Like decriminalize everything. Like you shouldn't really be being sent to jail for doing something to yourself, but there needs to be a societal stigma about it
Mhm.
that motivates you to not go and do that. Like I think that there's an element here where there isn't really a stigma against it, where it's just kind of like it's like this hedonistic thing of like just do what you want and oh well whatever if that like if you want to just go and get high all day then do that. Like there's no like well that's a bad thing and you shouldn't be doing that and maybe that says something about you as a person if you're going through that. Like there's this erosion of morality in a way that I think that maybe didn't happen in what was it, Singapore? No, Portugal. And maybe that's a contributing factor to why well you do it here, problem gets worse
Right.
because there's no stigma.
Yeah. No, I
You
agree
know,
with
there's
decriminalization
no
of drugs.
social incentive for people to not
Yeah.
develop issues.
Yeah. I agree with the decriminalization of drugs because I believe in liberty and taking whatever the heck you want. If you want to put something in your body, you do it. It's your body, your autonomy. Just like what we were talking about earlier with COVID and such.
Mhm.
But when it's almost like you're running interference for big pharma here by legalizing this shit. You're not there's a
Oh yeah.
major problem with this stuff.
Well,
And I don't think criminalizing it
pretty soon
is
you're gonna have like government contracts going to Pfizer to supply like huge amounts of opioids to like hospitals so that they can wean people off of it. Like it's gonna be a weird fucking thing that goes full circle, and now
it's
the
already
pharma
weird to me that
companies
they
are
use
profiting more.
methadone to wean you off of opioids. Like
Yeah.
it's like you're using another drug to wean me off of a drug. Like it's some weird wild stuff. But yeah, I don't know. I don't think this is I don't agree with it. I don't agree with um this particular decriminalization of this. I think they need to just ban this shit and they got to get rid of this stuff. If people are making it and stuff and you find it on them, fine. Okay.
I think it should
Decriminalization
just be
works.
kicked out of like you shouldn't be prescribed it pretty much ever,
Well, this is what I'm saying.
except
Like,
for extreme cases. Like you shouldn't be like you go to the hospital with a broken arm, like they shouldn't be giving you opioids
yeah, I
or
don't know.
anything else that's like highly addictive.
It's funny because I don't know how to, because I have a personal, obviously I have a personal
Yeah.
thing with this. It's hard for me to, to be in the middle on this one. So I kind of try to stay out of it because I have a personal sort of a thing about it. I don't know what the answer is with this. It's they got to do something because these drugs are unbelievable, and I've seen it firsthand to know that it's unreal. It's unreal. I've seen people on regular drugs, and I've seen my brother on this shit, and it's unfucking believable what it does to your brain and everything. It just turned him into mush.
Hmm.
Couldn't even talk. It was just that kind of thing. So yeah, it's weird that we allow this kind of thing. It's so odd to me. It's so detrimental to society, these kind of drugs. Anyways, I don't even think meth is as bad. I think, yeah, you're gonna lose your teeth and shit. And and it is poison. They're making it out of household fucking chemicals and shit. But this stuff is unbelievable. Anyways, okay, we'll get off that. I feel like I could talk about it for too long.
Oh, we got this next one. This,
I love the picture.
Yeah. It's now former Chicago mayor Lori Lightfoot out of office.
Oh, I'm so sick of seeing her. I hope she just goes away.
She's got a weird look to her too.
She definitely does.
Looks like Beetlejuice.
She is a 62 or 63-year-old woman.
Yeah. But she gets in office, and then everything gets worse, and then she gets elected out of office, and obviously it's because of racism, right?
Yeah, so this article, I'll just sort of go through a couple of the points. She's talking about obviously being the first. Oh, jeez. That was irritating. I thought I turned it off here, but it went on my iPad. Sorry about that. Anyways, so she was the first LGBTQ person, woman to be thing, I guess, to be named mayor and to be elected mayor. And then she's actually the first to lose as the incumbent in 40 years. And she essentially blames what she likes,
white people's fault.
Well, what she likes to call dog whistling about crime in Chicago.
Is at what, all-time highs?
Exactly. So it's like complete bullshit. She's saying this white guy beat her because he dog whistled crime. He beat her by a fuck ton.
Yeah, I mean, people don't like crime, and there's a lot of it under and you just allowed it too. Like, she was just like letting like Antifa and stuff create like autonomous zones. Well,
the whole thing that's laughable about this thing to me, or her point of view, is essentially she's proud of how her team dealt with the COVID-19 crisis.
Well, that's crazy because it was the worst in your city. Like,
well, I don't know what the stats are on how Chicago did, but yeah, most of the big cities did pretty poorly.
There's a pretty steep correlation to like restrictions and how bad it was.
Right,
so like the more authoritarian you were, the worse the problem was.
So I would like to see what her sort of proudest moments of that are. Like, break it down for me. Show me what you feel.
She really liked that she was able to have control enough to shut down the city's economy. She enjoyed arresting people who were trying to go to work. She got a kick out of fining businesses who refused to shut down.
And she was good at being a hypocrite when she went and said that nobody could go and get their hair cut and stuff.
And she did all that.
And she said, well, I'm an important face of the community and I have to look good. Oh, so you mean basically you're better than everybody?
Yeah.
And don't do as I say, or don't do as I do.
The law
as I say.
is what you're saying?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
That you have set out and enforced.
They actually think that, and they actually feel that way.
So I just love seeing better than everybody else douchebag like this voted out. Get the fuck out. Next, get somebody in that'll actually do the job. That has conviction to stand for what they actually say and believe. She's just a phony shrill to me. So I'm happy to see her go. So, Matt Walsh likes to say, Lori Lightfoot, you are canceled.
Yeah.
I love when he does that. He does it for various things, which is funny to me.
Well,
like stuff that
now.
Shouldn't be canceled even. It'd be like me saying that Bud Light Lime is canceled.
Yeah.
It's not, by the way. Love it. It's great stuff. Anyways. Okay. That's that on that. We'll just bury her quick.
Art says a big contributor to the $6 trillion reaction to COVID hysteria.
Yeah, exactly.
Basically, she was one of them.
Yep.
But all right, we got some. This
you've been dying to get to this. That's why we saved it for. This is like dessert for you.
This is fucking hilarious, and it kind of gets the point across that like some of these people are just plain stupid. Like there's nothing going on up there in their heads. So we're just gonna play this. This is a minute 42. play the whole thing, I think. Well, maybe we'll pause it throughout. We'll see how it goes.
What does it mean to be a conservative? That you like to make sure that the rich have money and the poor don't, and that you don't care about the working class people. Hi, my name is Jess and this is Reason. Today we're in Reading asking people, what does it mean to be a conservative?
There's a big stigma of like disliking poor people, wanting to cut benefits, kind of helping the rich get richer and helping the poor get poorer.
What does it mean to be a conservative?
Well, I think that's something that changes over time. But I suppose something that stays the same is a respect for the traditions, the way things are normally done. I suppose that's something that kind of stays the same with it.
What does it mean to be a conservative?
Tory.
Rich and negligent.
Old. Rich and old. Yeah, same.
I think the conservative.
You notice the difference? Not to be comical on this.
What, between this guy and that guy?
Yeah.
Masculine man,
That
feminine dweeb.
and it's just like sloppy looking, weird people.
Yeah.
You know, the people that are
Yeah. If we go back, try to remember, we're at about a minute. If we go back to
the first
this
one.
chick.
Look at her.
Yeah.
Yeah, looks like a clown.
Yeah.
I think the Conservative Party conservative.
It's hard to say. I think they're a lot more liberal than conservative parties in other countries. But then I think a lot of the modern idea of liberalism comes from the UK. So maybe that, in a way, that is conserving a kind of a tradition in a way.
Do you think the Conservatives are good people? No, not at all. They have their own ideals about the world, and they're not really in tune with what the people need. They're not looking at what people need.
She says this.
Look at this
right?
clown.
Well, she has no idea. She has no idea what conservative is, what their views are, or what they think. But no, yeah, they're the ones that are out of touch and out of tune with society's
How many
needs.
people does she think fall into the conservative category? Is she so stupid that she thinks it's a very small minority of the population, or is she?
Maybe.
probably
Honestly,
is.
I don't know. Maybe.
Should have followed up with that question. Should have said to her. Should have said, "How many people do you think in the world are conservative?" She'd be like, "I don't know, 17 trillion, maybe."
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, ours says first chick is a socialist, nurse, or teacher law. Well, I
Probably a
think she's
teacher.
a socialist for sure. Nurse or teacher, yeah, maybe one of those, but socialist and one of those.
She's got a TikTok account probably where she's talking about all the
She's probably got an
indoctrination.
OnlyFans account for crying out
and
loud.
all the indoctrination she's doing to the kids.
Yeah,
I'm happy about showing all these 5-year-olds, just
Penises.
confusing them with
teaching them how to use
gender
sex
ideology
toys.
and stuff.
They got to learn somehow.
Yep. Better they learn here.
Yeah, these people are fucking totally delirious. They're completely fucked up.
Yeah.
Let's
But that one guy was at least he seemed. I mean, he didn't.
He got it on point of what a conservative is.
I would think so. Yeah, he was
the status
close.
quo. The
Definitely close.
More so the what's normal.
And obviously they're talking about in the UK.
Yeah.
So it's he's referring to the Conservative Party. When you're just in general, a conservative person is a little bit more obviously conservative. They tend to be more religious. They tend to be more family traditional. There'll be more of the saving, working class saving type people. That kind of thing. That would be like a traditional conservative type person. A liberal is a little more of an ideologue type person. And they it's almost like glass half empty, glass half full type.
Yeah.
So it's but when you're talking about it now, it's the lines are so blurred now. When people say liberals and conservatives,
Well, it's because conservatives are liberals, right? So what
Classical
liberalism
liberals.
was in the 90s is now conservatism because that became the status quo, and now they're fighting to preserve that,
right?
Equal rights and stuff like that, and then everyone else is pushing against it.
Yeah.
Let's play this second Streat interview. This was a little longer, but these people are genuinely retarded.
straight white men good for?
Straight white men?
Yeah.
Not a lot.
How's it going? My name is Jess, and this is Reasons. Here in Shoreditch, asking people, are straight white men the problem? What are straight white men good for?
Ooh, that's a hard one. I don't know.
Do you think straight white men are important?
Oh.
Do you think straight white men are important?
No.
We're utter fucking trash.
I mean, sometimes I like how rational sometimes they might be, like really straightforward, like even about feelings, they are more like practical sometimes.
What are straight white men good for?
Being rude and making you feel uncomfortable.
What would you say that they're good for?
Must be lesbian. That was probably her lesbian
Probably.
lover beside her. I'm guessing, because why would she, like, if you've got a man at home, like, I love that. If you ask that to a guy and he said, yeah, women are mostly useless, or they should just be in the kitchen, or they should just be cleaning, or, holy shit.
Art said, I forget what this is a reference to, but the type of people that buy partial to zone subscriptions. Those are the worst.
The worst.
The worst kind of.
The zone's gonna go to business
worst
because
kind
of
of
you.
person.
I don't know. Don't know.
Are straight white men important?
I mean, they think they're very important. They're just as important as everyone else, but sometimes I get a bit inflated sense of self.
Do you think they're important?
It's the most reasonable one
the most
yet.
reasonable answer,
They
yeah.
feel they're as important as anybody else, but maybe they feel like they're okay. Well, like you're still being a piece of shit, but at the same time, it's more reasonable of it.
Maybe has a shitty opinion.
So what would you say they're good for?
I mean, they've got value, obviously, but the problem is that it's been them exclusively. So they're good at things, but just not everything all the time.
What do you think they're good for in society?
If they're given their bank card, that's pretty good.
That they occupy too many positions of power?
Yes.
Like what?
What am I allowed to say?
Whatever you want to say.
Straight white old men in government,
100%.
I don't think have a...
Because they won't touch her.
She's been rejected a lot.
Because they don't want to touch her.
She's been rejected a lot. She's probably predatorial. Like, she probably
Maybe.
goes up to men and is like, hey,
Yeah.
hey, you want to share this and everything for me?
Yeah.
on how people want to live or need to live.
Do you think there are many straight white men in government?
I believe there is, yeah. I believe quite high up on what you're seeing on the media. It's a lot more sort of, they're the ones that dictate to us, and they're the ones that tell us what we should and shouldn't be doing, and what we're allowed to do and what we're not allowed to do.
What are straight white men good for in society?
Fast guess. How many cats?
Oh, 7 or 8.
Yeah. How many kids?
0.
0 kids.
That woman's a virgin.
See?
Diversity.
Oh.
Do you think straight white men hold too many positions of power in society?
Yeah.
What are straight white men good for?
I don't know, sometimes they bash out a good few pop hits, bit of Shawn Mendes, you know.
Do you think that the system is against anyone who isn't a straight white male?
I mean, I would say it's like a system based on like, heteronormative hegemony and like binary systems. So they expect that a certain body inform a certain behavior, which I feel it's the mistake.
People I know, like, run businesses are straight white men.
Why do you think that is?
It's just the way the system's built, I think.
How?
These are hard questions, Reese. You gotta help me here.
No, it's all new.
Why do you think that there are so many men in positions of power?
It's that old school elite, isn't it? That's what's grown up, and it's still that stigma of that women aren't as powerful, women aren't as... We're getting there. We are slowly getting there, but we're nowhere near where we should be. It should be
Slowly
equals, not just men.
This is stupid. Slowly getting there? You're getting there in a fucking hurry. Like, we've pushed this fast as far as like equal rights and all that kind of stuff. It was basically the fucking 20s. So just 100 years ago, where women couldn't even vote.
No, they have more rights than men now.
Pretty much, yeah. Because
They over succeed. There's not a single job listing in the country that's only available to a man.
True.
There are job listings that are only available to a woman, though.
Yeah, well, I don't know if that's true 100%. There might be some that are only available to men. I don't know, but
no, because that's illegal.
I think
it's also illegal for it to be for a
the
woman,
other
but
way
they
around.
do it anyway.
They allow it, yeah.
Right. The same thing with the racial hires. They'll, we want a minority for this position.
Yeah.
You see it on Indeed sometimes.
Yeah. You know what? Yeah, that's so weird to me because it's supposed to be
the word of the
meritocracy.
law. It's illegal, but
Right.
it just happens and no one does anything about it.
True. But I don't disagree with her last sort of statement where she was saying that that men do run most of things. Yeah, but it's shifting.
They're voted in by
quick.
women.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, let's be real. You're taking away other things like women. You're taking away traditional roles. There are still a lot of women that believe in traditional roles of men and women that want to stay home and be, and raise kids and. They're looking for that. So there's that subsector of that. Not
that's
everybody's
the worst, right? The women that want to be good mothers,
that want to have a good sized family and raise good kids and stuff.
That want to take care of that family and care for them. Fuck, those people are the worst. I can't stand women like that.
It's the worst part about this whole push. It's like you have to destroy everything. You have to destroy traditional families.
You also have to pretend that men and women are identical.
Right.
There's no differences whatsoever. No psychological differences, no physical differences, nothing. Men and women are the same.
It's okay.
But also simultaneously hold the opinion that there could be transgenders.
Right. It's okay to believe both. It's okay to believe that women can lead industry and do all these kinds of things. And it's also okay to believe that women can, and some should, be at home raising kids and stuff. The ones that want to, not, because we decide they should, but that should be a thing that we also celebrate. They should both be celebrated. The diversity of choice. You want to do that? Great. And we thank you for doing that. Thank God there are people that do all the shit jobs that I want to do. Because if those people didn't exist, who's going to do those fucking jobs?
Mm-hmm.
So thank God. Thank God there are nurses. I don't want to fucking be a nurse. I can't handle blood. So I'm happy that there are nurses. But if I was shitting on nurses because I hate that job or I don't want to do it, now I'm a fucking idiot. Just like half these ass clowns in these videos.
Brains don't work.
Yep.
Morons.
Yeah, but very funny to watch these types of people talk. And obviously they are handpicking those responses because they're good for the video.
Yeah, but it makes you wonder how many people, like fucking men, might have been organic. There might have been. She left that guy in. That guy had a fairly reasonable point about the conservative thing. So, fuck.
Yeah.
It is maybe possible that those are the only people that she approached. I mean, she could be selecting them based on the way that they look. Like, that looks like a fucking lefty. Let's go talk to that person, right?
Could be. Yeah. I mean, you can kind of. I mean, just by looking at some of those people, I could tell.
You can tell. Yeah.
The girl with the pink hair and the hearts on her.
Yeah, you could tell.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure she's pretty dumb. In general, she's probably going to say some fun things. It's like those guys that do the interviews where they ask people questions, like just geography questions or math questions.
Yeah.
The one guy that does it specifically is quite funny, where he'll always go, "That's right," or he goes, "Yes."
Yes.
He'll say the wrong answer. Yes.
Yes, that's right.
But okay, well,
yeah, it's a good spot to end it.
Yeah, we got through it.
Over an hour.
We got through all the things we wanted to get through, and
all the stuffs,
all the things. Yeah. So just to let everybody know, next week Tyler will not be here, so I will be running the podcast, probably with Art, who's been on the podcast before. We haven't hashed that out completely yet, so we'll see. So things might be a little bit sketch because Tyler does a pretty good job with all the technicals. So I'm going to be a little bit weird with the technicals. So bear with me. In the meantime, like our videos and subscribe and comment. Please comment. We love the comments. We like to bounce ideas off people. We like to see what you have to say. No comments, a bad comment unless it's stupid. So don't just come at us with stuff, don't be stupid. The people that say stupid things, we're just probably not going to respond to you. But if you have a valid point, whether we believe it or not, or we agree with it or not, we're gonna respond. So please do that also. Yeah. So again, Tyler's not here. And that's 2 weeks. Sorry.
Yeah.
Tyler's not here for 2
Or
weeks.
say not next week, the 17th.
Okay. So next week, we'll see what happens. So look for something next week. I'm going to do something. Probably won't be podcasting myself because I can't stand myself for an hour, but I'll have somebody on. So, yeah.
All right.
Thanks for watching. See you next time.
Peace.